I mean, hey, don't sound so disappointed. I mean,
No.
What are you doing?
We're gonna start
With a smudging?
with a smudging for this episode.
Please explain to people the smudging process.
Smudging. This is sage. This is actually, yeah.
Do not burn the studio down. Look at them; they're all scattering over there.
Yeah.
You know, come on. Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay. So between
Oh wow.
Archangel Michael here, and it's coming your way,
it's
Phil.
coming my way.
It goes toward the evil.
Yeah, listen, anytime there's somebody smoking a cigar or marijuana,
It goes toward you.
I swear to God, I must be. I think it's because I inhale. Because I'm a little short of breath. I think I'm inhaling it, and it all goes in, and I'm like, oh my God.
That's very funny.
I mean, look at it. There's no wind, right? It's coming right to me.
There's many.
Does it really go to the evil?
No. But here's what
I'm gonna
happens.
panic.
There's
I
many
mean, I've done a few
different ways.
bad things.
Oh yeah, get in line. You and what was happening? What did Costello say? Yeah, you and 2 million other guys.
When the moon comes up,
Right.
I become a wolf. Lon Chaney.
You and 2 million other guys.
Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. I could watch that.
I'm not kidding.
I've only seen that movie 6,000 times, and when I'm I shouldn't joke about this stuff. Well, every time I joke about comes true. So when I'm in a nursing home, hopefully in another 20 years, and you walk in, John, and say, ask the nurse, how's he today?
20 years, you expect me to walk in anywhere?
You're an athlete.
No,
You're an athlete.
They'll gurney me into your room.
All right, just say what's it, and if you know I'm watching Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein for the 6 billionth time, say, he's okay. Because that old stuff makes me happy. Does old stuff make you happy?
Well, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends. Like, when I was a kid, I really got sucked into the old pro-World War II movies. The Humphrey Bogarts, the John Waynes,
come on,
William
John Wayne.
Bendix, the Sands of Iwo Jima.
William
My God.
Bendix.
Oh, yeah,
Life of Riley.
yeah,
TV
right,
show.
Right.
Wow.
But back to the smudging.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I uploaded my little Parkside Shorty rant.
I really enjoyed it.
Me wearing my beautiful
USA.
embroidered USA cap. And I got to say, it was a pleasure uploading a 5.5-minute video. I think it took me 15 minutes tops, and I had it on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Amazon Music. I was done.
Beautiful.
I was done. Right. If you try to upload a 1-hour video, man, you're sitting there for several hours.
Yeah.
Anyway, smudging. Smudging goes way back. It goes back thousands of years. It certainly does. And when you burn material to smudge, and typically it's sage, but it doesn't have to be, it scavenges dark or negative energy. Now, maybe it all really resides in intent.
Did I bring any negative energy in this morning?
No, if
I mean, did that production guy back there? Did he say something about me being negative? Because that'll be a problem for him when I'm done.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
If anybody did, it was me.
All right. All right.
I got on a few little horn lock friction points on social media today, but it's all good because that's what it's all about. If anybody thinks that they're going to shut me the fuck up because they're going to oppose me or challenge me on social media, I welcome the challenge because I generally have thoroughly researched what I put on social media. And so when I get challenged, I either just, let it go and I don't say anything, or I'm good with the joust. I really am. And by the way, for those of you who really aren't sure, I am an American through and through.
Well, why wouldn't they be sure? What would you be, John?
Well, no. It's just that there are far too many in today's society who have been completely brainwashed by, here comes that word, the commune Nazis. So I was called out today for using that word, but I was called out, you don't know what communism is. It was an old friend from high school, and I said, look, and I don't forget anything. So he and I had a previous little
debate
on social media, but years ago, maybe it was like, I don't know, 8-9 years ago, I can't remember, about the Russians and whatnot, and his family. They're not Russians, but they lived somewhere right along the Russian border. generations ago. And apparently the Soviets/Russians ran them all off of their generational homestead at gunpoint. You know, and if anybody doubts that the communists wouldn't have just killed them, wasted them, and taken the land, of course they would have. So, Aldous, if you're watching, and I suspect you're not, I don't forget that exchange, and I take it seriously. I do. But right now, for me to use the word communazi, I told you, I explained to you, it makes me sick to know that communist factions that were mentored by Saul Alinsky, who was an American hater and a communist. He mentored Barack Hussein Obama, or Barry Osoto, whatever the hell his name really is, and he mentored Hillary Rodham Clinton. It's all one big incestual communist movement that is moved through. It's not just the Democratic Party, but boy, it seems to be heavy in them now. And what am I supposed to say about that? And if you don't think that Joey Boy Biden, Brandon, is just a very willing puppet of Barack Obama, he was when he was VP, and he still is now. He still is now. Obama didn't move out of Washington, D.C., like apparently every other president did, including George Washington. No, he set up offices just down the road, and he still lives in Washington, D.C. How do I know that? Because a former associate of mine has a townhouse, condo, whatever, just a couple blocks away. That's all good. He can live wherever the hell he wants. So now we've got, isn't it weird how the CCP has gained such a foothold all through the United States? They practically own the institution that is Harvard, and that's not the only institution. All sorts of people from the CCP come here under the guise of being students or instructors, and they get their PhDs and whatnot, and they get their tickets punched. And meanwhile, they're spying for the CCP on us. They're taking all sorts of corporate and scientific information and stealing it. And if you think that certain factions in our government doesn't know that, you're fooling yourself. You're stupid. You are stupid. Right. So, okay. So there is the lineage of the communist slow, insidious takeover, the one that Khrushchev foretold. He did, right? Now, they're all through the whole political agenda that is Obama, Clinton, Biden. Absolutely. And if you don't believe it, just look it up. Look up Saul Alinsky. These are all communist wannabe sympathizers. Now, I'm not poking at just the Democrats. No, because as far as I'm concerned, Daddy Bush, Prescott Bush, funded and instructed the Nazis pre-World War II. Pre-World War II. So if it's any scalp scratch to you to hear that thousands of top Nazi military people and scientists, they didn't just sneak into the United States after World War II. No, they were invited with a red carpet to the United States. They were. And as soon as they got here, we started finding fluoride in the water, all sorts of weird experiments, 30 million metric tons of Serratia marquescens, which is a bacteria dumped by the Navy into the San Francisco Bay as an experiment upon the American people to see just how far this bioagent, which was a bacteria, would go. Seriously, experimenting on the African American population. I could go on and on and on. That's what we got from the Nazis that fled Europe post-World War II. So now, after all of that time, if you don't understand that the Nazis never went away and their epicenter apparently is in the Ukraine, and the Azov battalion helped in a big way murder upwards of 14,000 Russian-speaking Ukrainians in the Donbass region 14 years ago. And if you look at the YouTube videos of the soldiers that are being interviewed, holed up in their little, clandestine, military hideouts, their bunkers. This is before the Russian invasion, because that's what it is. They come right out and say, we are Nazis. We are Nazis. Right in your face, we are Nazis. How did Zelensky get in power? NATO and the United States committed regime change. They ran out the previous president. And
2014, I believe.
In 2014, that's right. And they put the little high-heeled, dress-wearing, funny actor who just did a comedy series about being an actor, and then he gets elected as the president, or the whatever the hell, prime minister, or I think it's the president, right? And all of a sudden, art doesn't mimic reality. Reality mimics art, and Zelensky finds himself the NATO American puppet. Now let's go a step further. We didn't do a countdown.
Countdown, Schmountdown. Those days are over.
Let's go a step further, okay? Putin made it very clear to the NATO authorities, don't come any closer to our borders. Do not natify our surrounding countries. And of course, the United States and NATO said, oh, absolutely not. And they even signed an accord. The name of the accord, of course, escapes me. And what did they do right after they signed? They did exactly the opposite, and they started slowly moving toward Russian borders. Okay, really. And now out of this, we've got what I would say the corporate big pharma military complex completely crushing the American population. The middle class is what they're coming after. How do I know that? Where do you think the United States gets $83 billion worth of military hardware and armament and ordnance? $83 billion. Get your head around that number, people. $83 fucking billion. And what do? We conveniently leave it there for our adversaries in the Middle East, specifically, I think, Afghanistan. That's not the first time that we used that little trick. Yeah, oh yeah, we left an armory, a bunker of weapons, ordnance in Iraq. Apparently, it was like some huge cache of military hardware and ammunition and all sorts of ordnance and weapons. And we left it, we left the bunkers, open and unguarded and unlocked, and then it fell into the hands of the Iraqis. That's either gross incompetence or it's treason. It's treason. Or it's both. I would call it both, because I think you need to be a fucking idiot to commit that kind of any kind of treason. So what did we do? Wherever we go, we keep fueling and edifying our enemies. Why? Because the corporate pharma military complex desperately needs the boogeyman to rear its head so that the corrupt, evil mainstream media can shake the boogeyman in our faces. And then we all go, oh, keep us safe, keep us safe. And if the population doesn't get it, a couple false flag events are set off. Oh, there's a bomb that went off over here. This airport got hit. Oh, a military bunker was hit and people died. Damn those, whoever they are. And all of a sudden, it's okay in the minds of the people to shovel over $83 fucking billion worth of military hardware to the enemy. And it's done over and over and over and over again. And you know something? In a way, you can also call it money laundering, and I say that on my Jersey Alchemist little Parkside shorty, where I'm wearing my blue USA cap. Let's take it further. We commit regime change into Ukraine. And now we're creeping closer to the Russian borders against the agreement that the Russians had regarding NATO encroachment. Regime change. 12 or 14,000 Russian-speaking Ukrainians in the Donbass were murdered. Right. And now here we are committing a psyop upon the world and the American people to justify an ongoing war in the Ukraine against the Russians. And what is it costing us? Well, it's costing lots of people their lives. It sure is. And I don't think we've seen the worst of it yet. And we've sent upwards of 70 billion US dollars to the Ukraine military machine and tons of military hardware, which apparently now the Ukrainians are selling on the black market. And Zelensky, the NATO-installed puppet, now he wants 1.7 billion. We can't fight the Russians unless we have an additional 1.7 billion a month. That's your money, people. That's coming out of your breaking your asses. It's coming out of your money. So it's 83 billion here while we're arming the enemy. We have to have a strong enemy so we can go back to them, because after this Russian-Ukrainian thing kind of punks out, after it does, and I still think it's going to get worse before it punks out, we'll just push the whole Middle East thing again, because they've got $83 billion worth of armaments. By the way, let's talk about ISIS. Remember ISIS? You know who funded, who founded, who incepted ISIS? 4 military intelligence agencies. Let's leave it at this. 4 foreign and domestic intelligence agencies funded ISIS, and John McCain had everything to do with it. How do I know? He's posing in still shot pictures, and they're all over the internet with the leaders of ISIS. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. ISIS was the perfect boogeyman to scare the shit out of people. And how did they scare the shit out of people with ISIS? CNN. CNN made Hollywood-esque production videos of people getting blasted in the back of the head, lined up by a ditch with their arms tied behind their back, and one by one, boom, 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 having their heads blown off as they fall into the ditch. Or the ISIS prisoners on a beach wearing orange jumpsuits. Where does a ragtag group of terrorists in the middle of the fucking desert, where do they get the camera crew? Where do they get the perfect orange jumpsuits? It was all done as a big, huge psyop to fuck with the American people and to fuck with the people of the world. I could go on and on and on. The bottom line here, people, is you're just not paying attention. You're not putting the pieces of the puzzle together. No, you're not. Phil.
John, that was as usual.
This is just a personal rant here. I'm so disgusted with it. And let's go to the Patrick Ben-David live podcast this morning that I watched about half of it just because I had things to do. And he had Ben Carson on, right in his panel, live there in the studio. And the further I watch Patrick Ben-David, PBD, he's stupendous. He really, really is. He's one of the best podcast interviewers I've ever seen. And he puts it all into his productions. I don't think he's been co-opted yet, or threatened, or given I don't think he's been made an offer yet that he can't refuse. Okay, but they did mention this whole thing about being made an offer you can't refuse today, because when the topic turned to the Inflation Reduction Act, which blows my mind, it was put through because of what's his first name? Joe Manchin?
Yes.
Is it Joe?
Joe.
Because Joe Manchin somebody who had really kind of acted to the right of center, he all of a sudden comes out for this.
Well, there's 49 other Democrats. One of them could have said no as well.
Well,
It always falls on him.
Well, yes, it does, but generally the political world was kind of gobsmacked that something
100%.
changed. Something changed in Joe Manchin in the last 30 days, and when
100%.
PBD Patrick Ben-David looked right at Ben Carson and said, "What changed?" He was such a respected person who people thought they knew what he was thinking and how he would come down on what side. What changed in the last 20 or 30 days with Joe Manchin? And Ben Carson said he was made an offer he couldn't refuse. And the panel says, well, like what? Like you think he was threatened or, threatened with death or leveraged or blackmailed? And he said, I think all of that's possible. He said so. He had to weigh his options. And then what he did was he says, well, where am I best off? With what offer and option that I've just been dumped on with, where will I be best off? And that's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. So now what do we get? We get all of this money, billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars being sucked out of the middle class because it's not coming from the billionaires and it's not coming from Skid Row, it's coming from the middle class. And the job of the communazis is to kill off the middle class. And that is you folks, that's you, that's who it is. So hundreds of billions are going everywhere, to the war machine in Afghanistan, to the Ukrainian Nazi factions. And by the way, a friend of mine said, well, how could the Ukrainians have a Nazi faction if their leader is Jewish? Very easily, people, very, very easily. Zelensky is a puppet. He's a puppet. And if you think he wasn't given an offer he couldn't refuse, you are stupid. Right. So, where does that leave us? Oh my God. 87. How much is he giving the IRS?
How many? 88 billion. 88 billion.
It's 80 billion.
87,000 new.
I think it's 80 billion to bring on 87,000 new armed IRS agents. IRS. You know what this means, people? It means what the fuck? IRS. It means they haven't gotten all of your money. They haven't gotten all your money. They want you broke. They want you depressed, destitute. They want to fucking starve you out, freeze you out, screw you out, so that you say, oh, please, New World Order. Oh, please, tyrannical communazi New World Order. Please come in and save us with your one world government, with your no cash society, with your new bullshit one world religion. People, what is it that you don't see? What is it that you don't see? And by the way, any agenda that nudges the world population toward fewer conceptions and greater death counts is all being done on purpose to facilitate this communazi takeover of God's humanity so that we can end up in the hands of scumbags like Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab in their tyrannical New World Order. If I haven't said enough, I don't know what will wake you all up. But you got to wake up, people. You got to wake up. Yeah. And you know something? Whenever I watch somebody go on a rant like this on the internet, I think, how long is this guy going to live? They're going to take him out? They're going to take me out? Guess what? I see clearly. And no, no. I'm good, and I have no intention of leaving the Earth plane anytime soon. Zero. So let's make that clear. People, you have got to go after voting. You have got to press your Congress people and your senators and your assembly people. Press them. Make sure, you know what? Next time there's a vote that comes up and there's drop boxes, put a lounge chair up. Get yourself a winter jacket if it's going to be in November. Get yourself a little thermos and a cooler, and take turns sitting guard. And if you see somebody come up with a satchel with many, 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 many ballots, you know what? Call the police or do something else that's kind and loving to dissuade them. And then they'll go down the street to another drop box, but there'll be other patriots sitting guard at the other drop boxes. And you know something? It's abundantly clear to me that the Republicans and the Democrats both cheat in elections. They both do it. It isn't just the third world countries. It's been going on right under our noses for decades. It's not good, people. And if you Democrat leftists out there think it's all good because you think, well, you won this time, it's not good. What? It's not good. It's not good. And if you're going to say, oh, well, this is the natural course of a capitalist system, it dies from within because it's a cancer. No, this is all being perpetrated on purpose by communist factions that want to kill off the United States, because the New World Order ain't never going to be with a strong sovereign United States. And I'm talking about a strong sovereign American people and populace. Yeah, that's right. And let's talk about another thing. You think that you're brainwashed into hating the Russians? How stupid can you be? Stop allowing yourself to be brainwashed. You know what BRICS is? BRICS? BRICS, the BRICS nations. It's Brazil, it's Russia, it's India, it's China, non-CCP China, and South Africa. And what are they doing? They've wriggled out from, and they've fought to not be co-opted and captured by the Rothschild evil New World Order banking system, and they are coming out with their own gold-backed currency, which is going to kill off the Federal Reserve note. And you know something? You might think that that's an affront to the sovereign circumstance that we are as Americans. But people, it's the bankers all along that have been co-opting and brainwashing humanity for years and years and years and years. The Rothschilds bankers have had a history going all the way back since pre-Napoleon, that they fund both sides of a war. You know why? Because they never get shot and killed, they never get injured, and they never lose. That's who they are. So when I have acquaintances and friends hear me say that and they go, oh, you're anti, no, you're just stupid. You are stupid.
John, just follow the money.
Yeah, but you know what? The money now isn't the ultimate agenda. It's you have to have the money to build up the system that snuffs out freedom, that snuffs out free will, that snuffs out liberty. And if you think the Vatican under this particular imposter pope isn't all part of this, again, you are stupid. You are stupid. So people, I've said it again and again and again and again and again. Get wise. Get smart. Speaking of Get Smart and Don Adams, one of my favorite TV shows.
Barbara Feldon.
Who was he fighting against? Chaos. Chaos. Dun, 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 dun.
Love that show.
Fighting against chaos. And you know something? The New World Order and the communazis have had chaos for us long set in their pipeline. I'm telling you the truth, people. Don't believe me, but you know something? Apathy is complacency, is
Amen.
you can't be apathetic about this, people, because you know, look, none of us are going to live let's try to use a little logic here.
Please
None
do.
of us are going to live forever. Nobody is going to live forever. But if you've been born into this crazy world, and you're going to leave this world at some point, whether it's at 6 months of age, or 6 years, or 60 years, or 101 years, you're going to come here and you're going to go. Don't you think the legacy that you leave, in a way, is actually just as important, or not more important, than the life you've lived anyway? It is, I promise you. How do I know that? Because nefarious people that have committed all sorts of horrible crimes against humanity, if they make a deathbed confession and they beg for forgiveness to the one living God, well, it's a good step in the right direction. That's better. It's better that way than had they not come clean and been contrite and begged for forgiveness. But people, it's your legacy. That is exactly what a legacy is. It's what lives on after you're physically gone from this world. If you just sit around eating popcorn and watching the world burn, you're complicit to the entire scheme. If that's what you want for your kids, and if your kids have kids, if that's what you want, God help you. God help you. So, I don't know, Phil.
John, if you had to alchemize or shed light on the darkness that was revealed in this episode, I don't think it'll be a problem to do it. Please.
All right. I think the first step toward the alchemization of what's happening today, I mean, I don't think the world has ever been witness to such evil debauchery, and so much of it is coming out of our present ruling regime. And this isn't just about Joe, what's his name? Don't tell me. Oh yeah, that guy.
Brandon.
It's not just about him or Kamala Harris or Barack Obama or the Clintons. It's about all of them. We got here because of, as the American indigenous would say, the left and the right are just two wings of the same bird. So it's been the deep state clandestine Republicans that really played a massive role in the Patriot Act and getting us into Afghanistan for 21 years. And 9/11, we won't do that because we can. That's an entirely different episode. And it's the Democrats now. So to my dear friends that think I'm just railing against communists, I'm not. I use the term communazi because you never know how they're interwoven. So it's all about awareness, people. And I would say that awareness is the first step in becoming powerful against the deep state evil dark factions. And if you're sitting there scoffing, and if you've got this far through the video, that means there's still hope for you. If you've gotten this far in the video, that means that there's a chink in your armor. There's a crack in the bubble that's over your head that's letting in some of the light. Yeah. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like what I'm saying. For God's sakes, people, especially for you young ones that say, well, the United States, it's disgusting, and I'd never want to live in the United States because it's racist and it's misogynistic and it's this and it's that. You've been hoodwinked. You've been hoodwinked into becoming an American dissident. Yeah, you have. You've been hoodwinked fully. Yeah, capitalism is the best system in the world, but I would concede, and I've been saying it for years, capitalism being perpetrated the present American way is unacceptable. It's capitalism without accountability or responsibility, and that's not good. So learn how to reach to your higher power, to your source. Reach out to your God connection, because I promise you, people, you have a God connection. That means learn how to pray. Yeah, take that bold step and learn how to meditate. Yeah. And when you do, you're going to change your consciousness. You'll expand your consciousness. And then what's going to happen is you'll start to see clearly. You'll have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. You will. And we will turn this tyrannical, communazi, New World Order takeover around. If you think that the usual suspects have your best interest in mind, like Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab and George Soros and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and all of the top politicians from the left and the right, from the Republicans and the Democrats, from Fox and CNN and MSNBC, if you think they have your best interest in mind, you need an MRI of your brain and an EEG and a toxicology spread, blood work.
A checkup from the neck up?
Yeah, from top to bottom. So I would say, people, very sincerely, become aware, people, because this whole thing's coming to a head. You don't have to like Donald J. Trump. You don't. And you don't have to love the old demented fool that's pretending to be in the White House. You don't have to like either one of those people. You don't have to hate or love the Clintons or the Bushes, to both of them. No. You need to have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, people. And all I can say is God bless you all. God bless humanity. God bless the United States of America. People, if the United States fails and falls, the world as we know it is cooked. It's burnt to a crisp like a goose in a blast furnace. Don't let it happen, people. God bless. See you next time on The Jersey Alchemist.
Great job, John. Thank you for that episode. That was amazing.
Hit like, please. Hit
Like, follow, and
you gotta
share something.
Share and
Come on.
subscribe, people.
Do the right thing.
Because I gotta tell you what, we had a beautiful,
unbelievable
growth curve, and then
pow
platform realized what we were saying, and they governed us. Yeah, they governed us like a governor on a mini bike where they can only go like 20, 25 miles an hour or something. They cut our viewership, they cut our international viewership. They did, and that's unacceptable, people. That's communazi book burning 101. It's just now in a big tech form. So start using your ability to discern. Start using your intuitive capabilities. You have them. Amen, Phil.
Amen.
Okay?
Till
All right.
next time, Jersey Alchemist. Peace.